lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and today I'm going to be talking about Batman Beyond #1, the original miniseries that came out in the late 90s. But before I get into it, I just want to remind everybody, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Check out some of the rest of the dope content we have on the channel. Interviews, single issues, hardcovers, artist editions, indie stuff, big publishers, all that good stuff is on here. So hit that subscribe button, and now let's get into this. This is the facsimile edition of this comic book. I had the original miniseries at one point. I don't have it anymore. I was really stoked to see that they re-released this. I believe they also, timed it because they're doing the compendium collecting the original Batman Beyond comics. So very excited to pick that up. I was missing a ton, so it'll be cool to kind of check that out. But I love that they've been doing these facsimiles. DC does such a great job. They cover the whole breadth of their publishing line, history, the Silver Age, Golden Age, modern stuff, Bronze Age. Was really stoked to see them do this one, and I love it because they do it on newsprint. So we're gonna get the full effect of how the comic looked, back in the day. And this one's a little bit easier, obviously, because it is a modern book. You don't have to worry too much about the coloring looking right. I loved this cartoon when it came out. It was, I still remember that pilot episode on the Saturday, I think it was Saturday morning. I can't remember, but I remember watching it and just I was already a fan of Batman the Animated Series, and Batman Beyond was next level. I loved that show so much. So when they came out with this comic, I remember being super stoked, and obviously Batman Beyond is, the characters, that world, that future has been told so much since that cartoon first dropped, and it's been integrated into the DCU. Cool, fun look back. Hilary J. Bader is the writer, Rick Burchett, penciler, Terry Beatty is the inker, and Lee Lowridge is the colorist. And, it's basically, this whole miniseries basically adapts at least a couple of the early episodes. But this one definitely leaves on the cliffhanger that we saw in the animated series. We see Batman, he's got this electrified gauntlet. This is, obviously this is set in the past. He takes down some crooks, and they make this comment, my God, dude, imagine if he ever made a whole suit out of that stuff. He's having this conversation with Commissioner Gordon, and, at least we'll keep these weapons off the street. And this dude's this was going to put me in front of the competition. You stopped them from stealing my inventory, but you let it get destroyed in the process. And he, calls Batman. He's like, what do you have to say for yourself? And I love this. I don't like guns. It's kind of ominous for what we're about to see in the next, couple pages, but just to call this out, I love this animated style. I think, they capture it perfectly. Definitely feels like you're just looking at the cartoon on paper. And, we jump forward, and it's many years later. There's some crooks going on. It's, mentioning the financial... It's seeing how, billionaire Bruce Wayne has averted the attempted takeover of his company by Derek Powers of Powers Technology. Which, eventually, as you're going to see, Derek Powers ends up taking over Wayne Enterprise, or at least partnering with them. You see Batman in the Batman Beyond costume. So at this point, it is Bruce Wayne. He's Batman. He has that costume first, right? And he's taking down the crooks, and he's going to save her. This dude hits him over the head, and you can see his hand shaking. He's obviously distraught, and he grabs the gun. He looks down, and you can see, obviously he just said, I don't like guns. And so the fact that he had to grab that, he's now retiring from the suit. Never again, he says. And he hangs up the cape. Then we jump 20 years later. We're introduced to, Neo-Gotham, this kind of cyberpunk future, which I really dug that style. And we see, this guy that kind of dressed in Joker garb. And this is basically a gang that has been influenced by Joker, and they're called the Jokers. And, they go around committing crimes. At some point, they kind of just do, playing jokes on people. They're just super obnoxious. And we meet Terry McGinnis. And as we saw on the previous page, he stops the Joker, gets the purse back for this woman, and we pan out, and we meet Terry's dad. And he's talking to this guy. He's obviously he's sweating, something's happened, and he comes to talk to Terry's dad. We can see these marks on his skin. What has happened to him, we don't know. And we see Derek Powers' bodyguard come and take him away. Terry's dad's, wondering what's wrong, and he's like, oh, take that up with Mr. Powers. And then we we meet Derek Powers for the first time, who eventually will become, a villain in the Batman Beyond universe. And, he's under the best care, blah, 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 like, we're missing something from his records, would you know where it is? And he says no, but then he goes back, he looks at this file, he discovers something bad, and he can't believe Powers is doing that. And so Terry comes in and, he gets mad at him. He's like, you're grounded because you got into the fight, you have to control your temper. And they have a fight, and Terry leaves mad, right? Goes out on a date, get another Joker that's trying to break up their fun. Terry hops on the fucking bike from one of the Jokers, makes it all the way to Wayne Manor. I love these ads. I miss seeing these kids WB. So he makes it to Wayne Manor. He hits this fucking, he spins out, and we see this like silhouette of this dude with a cane. And who is it? None other than Old Man Bruce. And I love how he's like, who do you think you're talking to, old man? And he's like, we're the Jokers. And he just says, sure you are. And he fucking, with his cane, takes him down, starts getting chest pains. And then he goes, Terry helps him into the house. And this is where he discovers the bat in the clock, and eventually makes it down to the Batcave and discovers that Bruce is, or was, Batman. Bruce hits him over the head, tells him to get out. He calls him a freak. And then we see the impetus behind Terry becoming a hero, right? Like, much like Bruce lost his parents, and that set him on the path to, fight crime. Terry comes back to his dad's house, sees his mom, and his dad has been killed. And then he discovers the disc right behind the picture of him and his dad. And, you also meet his brother in here. He's got a little brother was always a funny little aspect of the show. Was always a cool aspect of the show. And throughout the comic books that DC has done, he ends up becoming an important character, as he's gotten older. But, he takes it. He goes to Wayne Manor. His girlfriend, drops him off. And he rings the bell, and he's like, something's crooked with your company. I need your help. He's like, you're no Batman. You whacked that old fraud. And as he's walking away, we hear the gate open. And this starts the partnership between Terry and Bruce, and sets Terry on the path to becoming the Batman Beyond we all know and love. Great issue. Dude, I swear, I love these because they reprint the letters pages. It's so cool to see. I remember the way these letters pages looked in all the DC comics of this era. Super cool. We get to see, the conclusion of Rebirth, which is the retelling of, the pilot episode and Terry's origin story. Such a great comic. I'm definitely gonna pick up that compendium. Maybe do an episode on that where I flip through it briefly. I'm not sure how that'll look yet, but it was fun looking back at this comic book. I highly recommend you pick up this facsimile. Check out the compendium when it comes out. And while you're at it, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.